conference, because it has buttressed our resolve to negotiate. That is what we expect. We are aware that you people have shown that you have zero tolerance to corruption. And we are aware that an annual leakage because of corruption. Our pledge is attached, and our support is attached, that we have seen you everywhere saying that when it comes to work, you don't laugh and nikazi. We are sure that you are going to be up to the task, because the 700 billion forming education. Of CBA negotiations. This is something very serious to teachers. And join the employer at the Naivasa resort to jumpstart these negotiations. But we know, without the goodwill of government, these negotiations will come to naught. It is our prayer that the 4 years that has been given to us as the circle of negotiations are not in conformity with the best practices the world over. So we are supporting Azimio because we know you will stand with us, and you have always stood with us. This is the direction that we are trying to ask, that as you go, please ensure that teachers form part and parcel of the thinking of the new government. Azimio's pledge should be made here in Kiambu, where momentous decisions were made that shaped the future of Kenya. To Our Excellency, I wish to remind you that Kenyan workers are looking to you personally to protect our hard-earned gains. You remember that you walked out of the other government because you wanted to protect the freedoms that Kenyans now enjoy. As a deputy president and as a minister for justice and constitutional issues, we know we are only safe in your hands. Teachers are only safe in your hands. Azimio! Azimio! Thank you so much. In the same way, your nomination, you have realized, inspired millions of young women throughout this land. I was so excited. The chair lady of Kiambu KUPPET accompanied us to Bangkok in 2019 to attend the teachers' conference. And one thing which we noticed is she stood firm. And even Brother Yo, she's the one who asked the question why Sosion could not reach the ballot. The Kikuyu ladies, let me use the word, are very assertive. I would want to urge you, use your power, because Rose has told us, to propel these two leaders to leadership. I'm convinced. I saw men very cold in this room, but I'm not deterred, because you will push them along to see your mindset, because what you are seeing, they may not have known where it is taking us. Colleagues, I don't think I have much. It is my humble prayer that, as my brother Oyu has indicated, that you must make this one your project. As people in the trade union, we have experience with these people who are looking for leadership in government. We know the people who are for workers, the people who are for teachers. Just some few years, about 1.5 years, you saw how Kenya National Union of Teachers suffered. Do you know why? Some of the people who are looking for this leadership did not want unions to exist. That's why our resolve must be for the reform agenda, which High Excellency Martha and Engineer Raila, we have come here this morning. Allow me to say that we will not rest on our laurels after you win. We will put you on your firm commitment today that the Azimio government will place teachers right at the center of all matters pertaining to education in Kenya. We want our autonomy to discuss our issues. What we also want to be at the table to make decisions on education. And that is the reason for which the teachers resolved to support the current government reforms to reform education to competency-based curriculum. We know others are having the wishful thinking that they can initiate certain reforms. Why were we thinking so? The 21st century environment requires people who are alert, people who can use the IT platform, the people who do not accept wastage in education, the people who are open to doing business are even from home. That is, colleagues, that is where we are. And I hope High Excellency Martha and her principal, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, are the people who represent this vision. With those many remarks, allow me to now have the single pleasure on behalf of the Kenyan teachers, and especially who are represented here from the Mount Kenya region, to pass this baton to my colleague. But before I do that, our national treasurer, who is also a candidate in Kiambu KUPPET constituency, is supposed to be here. But he's indisposed, and but he's now doing well. He could have been here. Genga Mwethi. We got surprised that he was not here in time, but he is sick, but we have been given report that he's doing well. May God bless you. Your Excellency, could you now address the teachers? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome, and also for the sacrifices you have made to be here this morning. And I'm surprised you are from such far corners, both near and far, and you all made it in time. I know it's I don't think it's improving. Is that okay now? I know it's nothing short of a sacrifice to be here at this time, and I know you have traveled from far and wide. I should begin by apologizing. I didn't keep time, but I've found that I'm able to make it, but not as on time as I normally am, because our bodies also do get exhausted. But thank God, every morning after sleeping, I have enough energy for the next day. So I want to thank God for that, because without good health, we can't be here. I think I need an early disclosure that I've actually taught. I am a teacher, though untrained one. So I'm not only the daughter of teachers, because both my mom and dad taught. My mom, for a very short time, those days, women used to be encouraged to quit when they have children. So after my mom had my elder sister and myself, she quit teaching. But my dad remained a teacher until he retired. And I joined them after Form 4 because I worked as an untrained teacher for 3 months. And after A-levels, for about 4 months, before joining university, I was a teacher. Then I went for clerical work at the court, I think in preparation of the lawyering duties. So we do have something in common, and teachers and women have something in common. Women raise their families, and then they hand them over to teachers in our schools, and the teachers raise the nation. So you do play a very critical role. You are the professionals that are to be found in every corner of our country. Where there is no other professional, there will be a teacher. And your voice in the community is very strong. When people cannot quite understand something, they will be asking each other, have you asked teacher so-and-so? So you do carry a lot of weight in everything that goes on in our country. And that is what we should remember when engaging teachers, that we are engaging a very enlightened group of people. Therefore, we should never be talking down. We should be engaging and hearing your views so that we are able to serve you. I also believe that you cannot serve people without being close to them, without listening to them, and incorporating their views on what should happen. After all, in matters of education, you are the experts, and it is your ideas and advice we as a country and we as Azimio should be relying on. I want to thank your officials and the doctors, Secretary General, because they are the ones who were the link to reaching you, and you are the link to reaching all the teachers in this country and all the doctors, because now the Doctors SG is with us here. I want to again apologize because this is going to be a very brief engagement, not because we do not value you. I've told you personally how strongly I'm linked to you, apart from having been educated by teachers in the schools, in university. I also have that background of being a product of teachers as a family and of having myself taught at the various stages. In fact, if I had not become a lawyer, the next thing I would have become is a teacher. Yeah. My father would have really wanted that at that time. His strong advice was that I should choose teaching as a first time, as a first choice. He believed that as a female, I will need the 3 months holiday to bring my family together. Actually, his advice was that as a homemaker, I should enjoy the 3 months holiday every year. And he also thought mistakenly that time that lawyers travel a lot. He thought I could be posted out of the country because there is a teacher who was attached, not a teacher, a lawyer who was attached to an embassy. And I assured him that in any profession people can travel, and I needed to put my choices as I saw them, and he released me to do that. So we are here to assure you as Azimio that we will remain close to you. We will be listening to you. And as you have requested, I personally undertake to be your point of reference in the Azimio government. That if anything is not moving as fast as it should, I will be ready to engage you. After all, my role is to assist my principal. And while he's handling national duties, any issue that should be attended to, I will gladly undertake. I've been using your profession a lot as an example. I've been saying no school can have 2 heads, only one, and a deputy. The deputy may at a different time be promoted to become a head, but in a different school. And therefore, you are people who know the chain of command. Even in your unions, you cannot have 2 heads. You will have one SG, one chair, even in the branches the same. So the discipline of actually following the chain of command is already with the teachers. And I'm saying we should remember, therefore, that a country can only have one president, not a co-presidency. So my role as a deputy will not be to be a co-president with my principal. My role will be to be his principal assistant. Because once you accept to be a deputy, you have accepted the role to deputize. If you feel you cannot deputize, then go for the real thing and do it yourself. And if you are a deputy and you cannot wait for your turn, and you undermine your boss actively and continuously, then we are allowed and justified to raise the question whether you can actually be a good principal. Because if you cannot work with others, if you cannot listen to others, then it means you will be going according to what you think only, not what others think. Even when we had companies, ministries, schools, you always succeed when you agree to be a team leader who listens to those around you. Then the collective wisdom becomes the guiding light for what you are doing. So we are looking forward, God willing, and you teachers and the nation willing, to play our role and to be true to the Constitution. These days, engagement is not a luxury. It is actually ordained in the Constitution that you have to have participation, public participation. If we are dealing with teachers, then you reduce that to engagement with the teachers and the teachers participating in everything that concerns them, every decision that affects them, and the area they lead, which is education. So we will be doing exactly that. It's our duty. It's not a favor. It's in the Constitution. And that's why you have seen so many laws, so many actions of government being reversed, because it's a learning process. We were for so long in a dictatorship, if you like, or authoritarian leadership, that even those of us who have grown in it are sometimes chest thumping and saying, I will not tolerate. It's not you, it is what we have collectively agreed. Our Constitution does not tolerate. So when we are saying zero tolerance to corruption, it's not just because we don't like it ourselves. It's also because it's a duty under the Constitution to behave in a certain way. The principles, the guiding values and principles are in the Constitution, are in Article 10. They include public participation, they include the qualities of leadership, and again, Chapter 6 goes on qualities. What are we looking for this time? Our nation has the resources. They've always been there. It's not that they have come. We have a very qualified human resource reservoir in this country. Thanks to you teachers at all the levels that you are teaching, including in the universities. So we have resources, both human and otherwise. We are a rich country, just in case you didn't know, and I know you do. We have been looting our country. When I say we, it's the collective, because those who do it are fellow Kenyans. We have almost with zeal been destroying our country. It's still standing up. That should tell you that this is a strong country which has resources, which well managed, each sector will be well looked after. The 800 or so billion that is lost annually is an estimate. I believe it is more, because we lose through corruption, outright theft, and also through abuse of those resources. We are promising you good governance, better leadership, And we are promising you that all the resources will be safeguarded and put to our use. We know we are debt. We have heavy debts. But those debts are not a deterrence. If we seal the loopholes, we will not only pay the debts, but we will also develop and meet the needs of the various sectors, including teachers. And we are at liberty to negotiate with our lenders to restructure. We cannot just be paying debts. We have to pay debts and continue to progress. So a combined effort, a multi-pronged approach to get us where we are going. So I want to assure you, we are equal to the task, and I always remind people, during the NAC regime, 202, 203, we arrived in government to find an empty granary, and we knew it. It did not deter our late President Mwai Kibaki from declaring free primary, even before he was sworn in. Because I remember he declared the free primary when he was in Muthaiga, before the swearing. That was on the 30th or 31st, and the press was there. And a young child asked him whether he would stick to the pledge. He said yes. We didn't have money. It's the courage of conviction and courage of our ability to marshal the resources of the nation. Because just like today, there was a lot of pilferage of public resources. Today, what is different is that Kenya has gotten bigger, the economy has gotten bigger, we are richer, the basket from which people are stealing is bigger. The sums are mind-boggling, you know. And if you look at us, those who are in leadership, you'll see quite a number having a lot of money and are actual millionaires, but billionaires, not millionaires. Millionaires now, that is common. We're talking of billionaires. And if you check what business a person has been doing to have such money, there isn't. So a serious lifestyle audit would reveal that you have been a blood-sucking leech on Kenyans, on the backs of Kenyans. We will have to have a conversation because there are so many affected, not only politicians, people trading with government, people in authority in various government places. We've been a mess. But we shall be able to reason together and find the best way forward. Other nations have been in the place we have been. They have gotten out. Even in 2003, we actually got out for a period. And when corruption came back, the people also gave up. Because to win war on corruption, we need the people. To drive a point home, we need the people. May I, as I accept your requests, also make a call to you. I have said how authoritative, and you already know, you are in your areas, in your sphere of influence. In a nation, the teachers can actually be that revolution. I want to make an ask. It's our nation. It's you and me who will build it. Nobody else will. And I always give an example of the Western nations. In the last century, they were a miserable lot, dying of famine. You remember the potato famine in UK, dying of disease and lack of hygiene. There were days they used in winter months to throw out the human waste from the windows to litter the streets because you can't go out, it's very cold. And they had not invented the flush toilets. But today, things have changed because they are nationals, not the entire nation. The leadership got together, sat down. They also listened to one another. Not everybody invented the contraptions we see, those flushing toilets. But if you listen to each other, you will be able to tap talent because every nation has a reservoir of talent in its people. But if we are not listening to each other, things that could propel us to become a world power will be lost. So I'm urging you to consider us seriously as Azimio, because we are ready to listen. We'll be team players. We've been there before. We were there in the Kibaki government. And it's two governments. The first government, and after the post-election violence, in spite of a few hitches here and there when consultation was forgotten and it had to be reasserted and returned, even after I left government, they were able to work together. The complaints of no consultation are not bad. It's just a wake-up call. They used to sit. We never had them discussing. They would sit back room and we would see the work going on. So I'm not saying that an ideal government is where you think alike. There's no world like that. Even in our families, even in identical twins, we have different views on various issues. But we harmonize those views and then we move together. Teachers are the ones who teach children discipline. You are therefore, you bear responsibility in how disciplined our nation will be. We must reinforce it in the generation we are mentoring now, that respect is a necessary ingredient for a society, for families and communities to move forward. Without respect, we will be the Tower of Babel, and I think we have seen it in the nation. We have seen flashes of what can be. If we cannot humble ourselves and listen to one another, then we will not have a nation. So I'm urging you to remind us at every opportunity as a nation that respect must always be there. There is nobody who teaches their children to just go about kama mkosa adabu. So even in leadership, what qualities are we looking in leaders? We are looking for integrity, which covers everything. It covers trustworthiness, it covers respect, it covers the human touch, being mindful of the rights of others, and it also covers the sense of community. Even a school is a community. So we have to look out for each other's back. It also speaks to looking out for the weak in society. And that is why a Baba administration will think of the vulnerable and will actually have a social protection program for the already identified 2,000, identified by our census, not politically, 2,000 households who are living below the poverty line. Those families will be supported with a social support stipend per month of 6,000 shillings, which can at least buy them food, if nothing else. As a family, if you are very endowed or even just average, you will not stand to see your sister or brother's family starving. That is why people will educate their brothers, their cousins, people will educate the family, feed each other, and even take each other to hospital. As a nation, we do the same. Imagine the many harambes you attend for disease and for school fees, for weddings. We don't let families, even when they have money, have weddings or burials alone. We always move together. That is the idea of social support, which is in our constitution in Article 43, that the government must ensure Kenyans have the basic needs. Basic needs are health, education, shelter, other things like water, the real basics of life, and food. We have plans to ensure that we feed ourselves as a nation. We have enough arable land. We are water scarce, but with efficiency, we can use that very water to ensure we feed ourselves and we even export. And I keep giving the example of Egypt and Israel. Those are virtual deserts. Egypt, the arable land is only 4% of the land mass. and that's basically on the banks of River Nile. Israel can go for spells of several years without rain, without significant rainfall. But they have learned how to use their water resource. They recycle, they do smart farming with drip irrigation. And guess what? We are eating oranges exported from Israel, from deserts. They are not hungry. There used to be famine in Egypt, and it's in the Bible. We have not had them going through any famine. Instead, they export sugar and other commodities, and rice actually, to us. What a shame when we have all this human resource. And when I point at you, what about the millions you teach? We actually have enough knowledge to be able to do what we want. So I want to ask you to join us, and you already have indicated your willingness, so that we can make this nation a nation that is the envy of many. On health, Babacare will ensure everybody is catered for. Babacare is not NHIF. It is more than NHIF. NHIF, those who can't pay are left out. Babacare, those who can't pay, the state will pay. Tumalizane na story ya pesa kwa hospitali ya umma. We are also going to make sure we have enough doctors. So please tell the doctors, we have trained doctors, we have trained teachers who cannot get jobs. Yet we do not have enough teachers, we do not have enough doctors in our facilities. We are going to ensure that there are enough teachers in the classrooms. We have actually pledged to employ all the qualified teachers who are unemployed, and we will be able to roll out how we do that. We will need all our doctors, so that that dispensary near you, that sub-district, sub-county or county referral hospital must have enough specialists. And where we do not have enough trained manpower, because there are some specialists who are just few, like 20, like under 100 in the country, we should be able, using technology, to have counties share the available resource. You pair or triple counties and let them use the same people. I visited Makueni sometimes last year, and I was pleasantly surprised to find they had almost all the experts needed, not employed by the national government, employed by the county of Makueni. I found things running very well, to the extent that my friend, Professor Kibuda Kibwana, underwent a surgical procedure in Makueni and got admitted there last year. That's the confidence we want. If you go to UK today, the best health service is in the national health hospitals. We must make our public facilities the mark of excellence, to be emulated by even the private. And it is possible. As I grew up, and those of my age know, the best medical services were from the public facilities. The best schools were public schools. We are products of public school. Yes. If we are not the mark of excellence, then you are consigning the entire country to misery. Because a majority cannot afford private. They cannot afford private hospitals or private schools. So I am asking you to join us. It will be a long journey, and not everything may come on time the way we want it when you're stretching resources. But I know what matters.